Hello and welcome to the Heroes Global Championship. We're over here in the European region. My name is Trixler and I'm joined by Kalaris to the left. Kalaris, we have some delicious matches today.
Yes, we do. We're almost rounding out Phase 1 completely, as we've already established who's going to be going onto the Western Clash.
Yep.
But obviously, a lot of these teams just want to solidify themselves in terms of complete score. Teams like Misfits, obviously, they want to go 7-0. They want to look dominant here throughout Phase 1.
Yeah, this weekend is all about making sure you're set up for the next couple of weeks, get those seedings nice and figured out. Obviously, our top 3 has been figured out already for the Katowice. But let's talk about the standings, where we are in Europe already. Here at the very top, as mentioned by Kalaris, Misfits has been dominating with a 6-0 record currently right now, looking to maybe get it to 7-0 today, as they'll be facing off against Trick Esports. Of course, our top 3 has been solidified. Fnatic and Dignitas will be going to Poland. Going to see them compete in a couple of weeks, and of course, the rest of our teams down on the slots. After 5 weeks here, Kalaris, is there anyone here that stands out to you?
I think the tiers have sorted out themselves very nicely.
Yeah.
We've got the big 3, obviously. We've got Team Expert in that 4th position, and then beyond that, you've got the tiers where you kind of expect them to be. Now it's for a lot of the teams towards the bottom half of it, who is going to be going to the Crucible down the line when that comes along, because that is very, very important, and there's some great teams up and coming, like Team Zealot, like Team Mar, like Team Tossers.
Yep, we'll be seeing that in a few weeks, so stay tuned for the Crucible. Let's go ahead and talk about today's schedule. What do you guys get to watch? Oh, goody here. The second series of the day will be Trick Esports and Misfits clashing. As mentioned earlier, Misfits will be looking for that 7-0, but Trick Esports, currently on a win streak of 2 games, could make it 3 here if they take out the big top dog. Later on, No Tomorrow and Gale Force Esports face off with B-Step and Team Naventic following up. But our first match of the day, playing Ducks and Fnatic.
Yeah, playing Ducks was a team for me coming into HGC Europe that had question marks above its head. I was thinking, you know, how were these guys going to perform? How were they going to round out as a roster? When they had that little blip at the beginning of the phase where, unfortunately, Ray Boss was unable to compete for them and Sport Billy came in, I was like, well, okay, maybe that will work out. Yeah, definitely a hard road. But Sport Billy has made it work, and playing Ducks have looked much better than I expected them to coming into HGC.
Well, let's see what the playing Ducks and Fnatic think about today's matchup.
Yeah, Fnatic, like, a pretty good team. I think it's the best team in Europe. Like, they're playing for such a long time together. Like, their decision-making and drafting is, like, really impressing. It's gonna be really hard to beat that, guys.
I think they're a pretty good team. However, I haven't seen too much of them. But they have the same thing going for them as we have, which is the common advantage, where they're all from the same country, so they speak the same language. So I think, and I hope they make a good show, but of course we're gonna defeat them.
I think Fnatic, Misfits are probably on the same level for similar reasons, because they have a roster that's been standing for a longer time. Misfits roster standing even longer, but with Fnatic, them bringing up Whoopi into the team and like making them a full Swedish roster, I feel like really made them step up to another level, and they've been practicing really, really hard. I have a lot of respect for these guys, they're great players.
So we played some scrims against Diamond Skin, and they've been pretty decent, I would say. And if Chris puts less time into his stream and more into the team, they could definitely stand a chance.
Fnatic is also really hard to play against. They're just really coordinated. They don't really play the game like any other team does. They always play the map. They try to outpush you, get more objectives than you, and just try to soak way more XP and then just win team fights off of that. So they have a really unique playstyle that you have to get used to. But it's going to be probably the second hardest matchup for us in the entire league.
As long as Chris doesn't get his hands on Leeming, I think we'll beat Diamond Skin pretty easy.
We have to win the draft, that's most important. We have to take our maps, to take them out of their comfort zone. And if we can manage that, I think we can beat them as well.
Fnatic versus the playing Ducks. I think I dubbed this matchup the Battle of the Chromies, as these two teams definitely understand that hero and play her when they get the chance here. Playing Ducks a little bit less so, but they're great at countering Chromie. Tuma Spider Queen is a battleground that I'm expecting in this matchup.
Yeah, before we actually get on to the match, they alluded to something that's actually been a hurdle for Europe compared to the rest of the world, which is comms and actually being able to communicate in your home language. Traditionally in Europe, some of the most successful teams in eras were actually all from the same country. If you think all the way back to G2, which was entirely Polish, they had very good success because, well, you know, comms was so easy for them. And likewise, even further back than that, when, say, like, Vortex and Lucifron, the Spanish guys, were before Team Liquid and they were as an entirely Spanish roster, they were able to find success because they were all communicating in Spanish.
Yeah.
So, you know, these two teams do have that kind of thing going because Sport Billy B, despite being Croatian, can, I think, speak German. So, yeah, both of these teams do have that strong advantage available to them.
Well, communication will be key in today's matchup, but I'm also looking at two important players. I'm looking at Chris, and I'm looking at Schwimpy here. These are our two players that have been playing Chromie throughout the day. Both pretty solid assassins, as they just really know how to put the hurt down. Look at the death here. 1.0 for Chris, 0.8 here for Schwimpy. These teams do not die. They bring out pressure, they put damage out, but they always are reliable.
The Chromies go head-to-head, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Who
if
knows?
only we could have mirror matchups. Chromie versus Chromie, sandblast across the screen.
That would be some magic stuff, I think. And then Shrimpy would take Reaching Through Time and then always hit Chris, and Chris wouldn't hit him.
And then Chris would pick bye-bye and just leave after it gets hit. And it's perfect.
And then
it's
it'd be
good
5v4. But for sure, I think that overall, they're very good people to highlight here. Chris has definitely made plays on the side of playing Ducks. Likewise, so has Shrimpy. He's been very flexible for Team Fnatic, and it's certainly paid dividends.
Yeah, that's the best part about this team is you talk about flexible, and these two players are flexible. They've changed out so many heroes to fit in for the team. We've seen Tychus, Vala, we've seen Chromie a lot here from Chris. On the other side, Schwimpy himself has been picking up a lot of heroes for the team. So today is all about variety between these two teams. Let's find out which battleground we are going to for our first match of the day. Our bans will now occur, and I'm expecting a 2-man Spider Queen at some point, as it is the best map for both of these teams here. So Sky Temple has been banned out. Battlefield Eternity has been banned out. Our first battleground of the day will be, it is in fact 2-man Spider Queen. So quick note, playing Ducks, 3-0.
Yes.
Fnatic would have been 5-0 if it wasn't for a certain core rush that didn't work out. They are currently 4-1.
Right. That's an interesting battleground to take Fnatic to, because traditionally it is a very strong battleground for them. Needless to say, needless to say. For playing Ducks, as you mentioned, 3-0 on that battleground. Not too bad a record at all. There is going to be some Chromie control here in this draft. 100, there has to be, in terms of how much power it has shown so far here in HGC Europe. Yeah, the Chromie control will be important on this battleground. In fact, that's where one of the first victories came for the playing Ducks. They played against the Misfits. Misfits took Chromie in game, or slot number 2 in the draft, and there was an incredible counter synergy that was already made up by playing Ducks. Yeah, I really didn't like that. Still don't like that draft. God. That was like 2 weeks ago, and still he's tilted about it. Oh, yeah. Never second pick Chromie if you're on Colaris' team here. In the 2-man Spider Queen, and for you at home, a quick note, we are still on the Valier patch. We will not be playing on the Murky patch. Oh, excuse me, the Lucio patch. Oh, don't do that to me. I have post-traumatic stress of having to ban Murky every game. What a world we're in where actually in ladder right now, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I just need to ban Murky. Yeah, right? Otherwise, I feel stressful all game long. He is quite the menace. If you do want to see Murky, there is a good chance you may see him at Katowice in a few weeks at our Western Clash. But for today, Valera. Tacit our ban here for Fnatic to the opposing side playing Ducks. We'll now get ready for their ban. All right, so the question is, what do they do? It sometimes has been ETC against Fnatic. They definitely have a few options. ETC is a good option. Ragnaros is technically an alright option as well to try and kind of stifle some of that. Yeah, that is a solid option. We've been seeing Fnatic lean away from ETC more often the last couple of weeks too. Tyrael has become one of their strongest warriors they've ran. They've ran it solo a few times as well. I think you go with the ban here on Ragnaros. That way you can keep your ETC up and being available for the playing Ducks. Because the thing is that if you do ban out ETC as playing Ducks, we've seen Breeze navigating very heavily to Tyrael as well, and it just has as much power in their hands. The big three in general have been navigating towards that. You see it in Dignitas, you see it in Fnatic. It's a very strong pickup. Get rid of that Ragnaros and make sure you're okay, but wow, that was a fast Malfurion. Yep, Malfurion's been one of the highest pickups for all of our teams here in the HGC. Yeah. A little less so for the playing Ducks, they prioritized ETC a bit more. However, with it being 2-man Spider Queen, I wouldn't mind for them to hold off on their warrior pickup. Right. And maybe get Johanna later on, just because of how strong she is against Chromie and with Chromie. Yeah. I believe statistically, Malfurion is the most first-picked hero in HGC Europe, right? He has a 96% involvement rate here in Europe. That's high. That is incredibly high. 100% in Korea, 97% in North America. All right, so there's Johanna actually picked up early here for the playing Ducks. And there is Rhaegar as well. Now, Fnatic needs to think about what warrior they would like. ETC could be the pickup. However, I think ETC into Johanna can be a bit difficult. I wouldn't mind seeing Tyrael here. Fnatic now is in a weird spot where they need to decide if they want to move into the Chromie selection later on,
or just go for the ban.
Now, I find the Johanna pickup this early very interesting. They anticipated, I believe, the Fnatic's second ban to be Johanna, because what they're expecting is either Tyrael or ETC comes in now, or even both. I doubt both. And then that point on, another warrior would have been banned on their side. So that's interesting to see them prioritizing that heavily. It is very good on this map. We have seen Johanna being a strong, controller of those turning points as well as the wave clear.
So Fnatic, now thinking about what they would like to select here. Wouldn't mind seeing their Tyrael here. Maybe even, gosh, where do you go from? Oh, wow, they just straight up go into Chromie early. Quick pickup here for Fnatic. Interesting to see it into Johanna, by the way, because the Playing Ducks have shown in the past against a Chromie composition, they'll go for heavy wave clear, heavy front line, and just push you in.
Right, so showing a Chromie this early, we were mentioning just before Misfits tried it and it did not work. One thing that Playing Ducks is now looking at is how do we incorporate shielding into our composition. Already they have Johanna, which already has Iron Skin, which we mentioned before is very strong against Chromie to actually help out that front line. So maybe also that Johanna pick was something asserting towards the fact that the Chromie could have come in early on and they wouldn't even get a chance to ban it.
And for you at home, just be aware, too, you take the ETC 2 as well here, just because if ETC and Johanna is an opposing team, while it doesn't seem like a really good foundation, it's good enough for breaking down a Chromie composition because of stage dive being available. So ETC being grabbed with Chromie here works out. Now, looking over the bans, what would I start looking into here? Tychus is being highlighted, which makes sense with our frontline heavy matchup that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, well, they're thinking about what do we take away from Quacknix that can, as you say, try and rip through a front line, taking away Zul. So they realize that Chromie doesn't quite have that wave clear presence. If you're going up against a Johanna Zul, there's the potential that a Chromie could lose out quite heavily in the early game, where she doesn't have as much threat up until level 8, of course, where she becomes a little bit more of a monster.
Yeah, completely. And looking over to Playing Ducks here, I'm thinking about Vala and maybe Zarya.
That's exactly the combination I wanted. We're like, telekinesis, man. I can't believe
We're getting it down, man.
Not Alarak, but telekinesis.
The Playing Ducks, I think it works here. You have your Johanna, you have your Wave Clear, you have your Rhaegar with the cleanse, you have incredible sustain there with your Rhaegar just playing in the safe zone in the back. You have Zarya with shields, which Sports Billy can play here.
Exactly. You go Vala, Zarya, you have so much in terms of the cleanse potential, because 13 and 16, if you want to add the cleanses to the shields, then you have everybody completely safe. That would then prompt Fnatic to say, okay, we're going to go Slowing Sands. We don't really care about Temporal Loop. But that's a really strong foundation, I would say. Look at that. Oh, God, it's beautiful. I really like it.
Playing Ducks setting themselves up for success here. All they need now is a strong bottom lane clear. There's a stat there. The Playing Ducks 3-0 on Tomb of Spider Queen this season. As we were mentioning earlier, they are just ready for this matchup. Now, Fnatic, you need damage. Tychus is out. Vala has been picked up already. Li Ming would be weird because you have double mage already. So what do you go here for auto attacker? You have a couple of chances. You can go for multiple warriors, which we have not seen often from Fnatic. You can also go Falstad.
If they did go multiple warriors, I wouldn't mind Playing Ducks actually going down the path of a third warrior. I know it sounds really odd considering, what we've seen in Europe so far, but we're thinking about what Nande would play on the side of Playing Ducks. But anyway, let's talk about Fnatic still.
They need a strong bottom laner. I don't mind seeing Thrall and Murd in here. I do see a world where you go Falstad, though. Oh, Sylvanas being highlighted.
I would like Dahaka as the last pick, if I'm honest. Oh, Leoric, okay. That's kind of what I expected on the side of Playing Ducks if they wanted to go for a triple warrior. But the last pick, obviously, was going to be for Wubby. So Leoric works. I wouldn't have minded Dahaka either, but Leoric can definitely do a lot against our lovely Johanna at the front.
This might be odd, but for a 5th pick, what do you think about Zeratul? Do we have someone that can play that over here for the Playing Ducks?
It's Nande that we're looking for right now.
He's a Dahaka player.
Yeah, technically, things he's been playing is Ragnaros, Dahaka, Leoric, which is kind of what gave me rise to the idea of that even third warrior that would come along. He could play a Sonya or a Thrall in this slot as well.
Ooh, I would like Sonya. Get a strong bottom laner. You have someone that can handle that front line too. You have Wrath to be able to heal with the damage that's coming your way, and you're able to go for a tanky build. Go block, get Ferocious healing, you have Stone Skin as well.
I think they need a little bit more damage. Obviously, Zarya actually pumps out the numbers. She's very strong, but I would like something in that vein. What they're going to do. Dahaka, okay.
Dahaka.
So it's going to be the triple warrior that we were mentioning before. The Dehaka and Leoric picks on either side, that could have gone either way for me.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought that they would, Team Fnatic would go down that Dehaka route, and then Leoric would have been on the other side. It was very close in terms of that switch up and where those two were going to go.
Yeah, I like the idea of Fnatic grabbing the Leoric the more we think about it, just because of what you're talking about. The 3 Warrior possibly coming out for the playing Ducks.
Yeah.
It's happened a lot. You at home, we love hearing from you. Let us know what you think about today's draft. Hit us up on the Heroes Esports. Use a hashtag HGC. We'll make sure to read them live on air, and of course, mingle with you guys here on the caster desk, as we love talking to you guys. So quick look at the draft. I actually like both drafts for our team. It's definitely come down to the Chromie X Factor that's really shown up here. It's going to come down to whether or not Schwimpy has a wonderful day on that Chromie, and then they're able to break down the playing Ducks. Playing Ducks, however, if a couple shots do start missing, they're going to set themselves up to push in the waves constantly and put Chromie and the rest of the team on the back foot.
So coming into this game, I felt that Fnatic would just win out regardless of draft. But I do like this draft for playing Ducks going up against what they're facing here. I think that Fnatic doesn't really have too much blow-up potential against Triple Warrior with that much cleanse ability from Chromie being able to do much at all. I feel they have to go slowing sands as Fnatic if they want to try and make something work with this and then just try and combo off that.
Yeah, I look at playing Ducks and I think of preparation. They are prepared for this matchup today. The Johanna first pick really solidifies that for me.
I agree.
That's something that you normally don't see until the 3rd or 4th pickup, but now that they've already shown Johanna in the past, they've said, okay, Fnatic obviously does their research. Great team. We're taking our Johanna, and that puts the ball on Fnatic to go for Chromie or not here. So playing Ducks here, game number 1, they are looking primed to do well against Fnatic, and I'm pretty pumped for here. I think if I'm going to call the game, dang, man.
It's tough, this
one.
It
is tough.
It's really tough. I think you're in the same boat as me. I think you would have said Fnatic straight out the gates, but
easily.
Looking at the draft, this is, who knows?
Yeah, you come in and you think Fnatic, this is Fnatic. They're going to come out. They're going to destroy. This 2 minute Spider Queens, one of the best battlegrounds. Then you look at the numbers, and the playing Ducks are prepared. They know how to play against Chromie. They have a 3-0 record as well on 2 minute Spider Queen. Let's find out, man. It's game 1 in this best of 5 series here. The playing Ducks taking on Fnatic. Let's do it.
I think one thing, again, to note is that Chromie has a great win record here. But the one time we saw her this early in the draft, she did not work. So to the left-hand side, it will be playing Ducks with Sport Billy going to be on Zarya. We have Chris on Valor. Next up will be Nande, going to be on Dehaka. Wolf Joe is on Rehgar. And, of course, Chris Explosion. Well, yeah, he's already on the Johanna. So, yeah, that's all good.
To the right, Smexy going to be showing off the Malfurion. Breeze on the ETC. It's good to see him back on the hero. We haven't seen it in a while. Quack next here with Sylvana. Schwimpy on the Golden Gnome himself, Chromie. And then here is Wubby playing the Orc.
All right, so I'm very keen to see how we're going to see maybe a little bit of a mix-up in the talents from Schwimpy on Chromie, because I don't know if the normal go-to build for him is going to work out here. They're trying to do a bit of damage towards that middle tower with Sylvanas, of course, because if they do get a kill off, Sylvanas can gain massive value with that push. Whether it comes to fruition or not, we'll see.
I think he can go the same build, but that puts a lot of pressure on Wubby to be in the rotations. That big cleave that Leoric brings in will be impactful for making sure to keep up the wave clear that the playing Ducks will provide here in the early game. Sports Billy continuing with the push, tanking those shots there from the Sandblast. Big power slide. Chris taking some damage, but Wolf Joe will be here to save. Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Dragon's Breath from Schwimpy.
He was quite far forwards, but not a problem. Sport Billy there to help him out. And one thing that's interesting to note on Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's a map that between middle and top is very heavy on rotations. And actually, Chromie does a great job of disrupting a lot of that, not only because she dishes out damage in the weirdest locations, and then playing Ducks is in a spot where they have to retreat back, but also Time Trap. If you can actually place it down, if you can seize control of this area, as Wolf Joe under a bit of threat, if you can seize control of the middle between these locations and put a good time trap down, it slows down at least one person for that 4-man go.
Yeah, and also sets you up for damage as well. Going to force Zarya to pull out her shield. Ooh. Schwimpy mixing up his rotations here on the damage. He focuses Rehgar for a little bit and looks at Sports Billy. One of the best ways to deal with the Zarya is to make sure that you're not predictable, so those shields do not continuously come out. So Schwimpy working in the different Sandblast, the Dragon's Breath when he gets a chance, even using his Dragon Breath here to clear out that middle wave.
And it's interesting to actually watch that little dynamic between Zarya and Chromie actually play out, because what's happening a lot here is you're seeing that, yes, Sports Billy is gaining quite a bit of energy, and there's a time trap to slow down that rotation once again in a great spot, by the way. When he's given energy, he's not in a position, Zarya, where he can actually get too far forwards and then put on some of the auto-attack damage. So a lot of his bigger damage is coming from Particle Grenade, and you only have so many of those in the early game.
Yep, those 4 charges. Take some time to get stocked up.
Yeah.
So watch out for Sportbilly to work in those grenades. See, just chunking here, but with Malfurion being on the side, should be able to heal that damage. It will come down to the late game, it feels like, with Vala being the aggressor for this team. Chrisplosion now continues the rotations, continuing to push in. 36 to 31 in terms of Spider Gems. Big power slide onto Chrisplosion. He will be able to retreat. Using that Iron Skin, Chris, though, takes a Sandblast to the face.
Yeah, instantly just made unstoppable gets on out of there. It's good stuff so far from playing Ducks. They know that all they have to do really at this phase in the game is solidify themselves. I don't think they really have too much kill pressure, especially since Dahaka has been forced to that solo lane towards the bot, since he is one of the only ones that they have available to them in this early phase that has some crowd control. So it's a slow pace to start things off for playing Ducks.
It's going to be like that, too. Just continue throughout the game here. If playing Ducks don't overstep, Fnatic shouldn't have an opportunity to secure takedowns, especially with Johanna leading that front line. It's all about holding on right now. Making sure not to lose too many turrets. Don't lose out on the turn-ins. Breeze consistently, every time there is a rotation, takes his Sylvanas all the way to top lane. They clear it out, and then Breeze immediately moves in to check out the turn-in area. That's why 0 of the gems have been dropped off. Fnatic is very worried here about a turn-in going in and the game snowballing out of control.
Yeah, just controlling it nice towards the middle. Now, one thing that's interesting is that both of these compositions are quite slow in their damage output, etc., and in their sustainability as a whole. Chromie and Sylvanas, unless you get a complete blow up on someone and everyone follows up on it, it's going to be slow damage coming out, even towards team fights. And that's been actually something that's very common in all of esports. We saw it a lot in StarCraft 2, where you drag out the game as long as possible to force more mistakes from your opponent. And if you think you're the better player, you just keep going. You don't try and cheese. You don't try and do something wild. You just drag it out. And I think that's the one concern that I have for playing Ducks here. I don't know whether in a team fight, that long team fight is going to play out for them compared to Fnatic, who is very well versed.
Yeah, slowly chipping him away is the big stone wall there.
Yeah.
Fnatic working it out as they can. Big shield comes up for Chrisplosion. Playing Ducks has ran this composition a few times, just to add on to your point. I think they can run well. The question becomes a little bit deeper here. For me, is whether they can do it against Fnatic.
Exactly.
The top 3 teams, you know?
Yeah.
They've done it against some of the teams that we've seen in the past here. They did okay against Misfits, but it's against Fnatic. Big damage, though, coming out. Finally, that small mistake comes out, and Fnatic goes for it. Wolf Joe shows up with a bite, though, taking out Schwimpy. Low on health, starts to retreat. Will be able to turn into a Ghost Wolf and run away, but Sportbilly getting a bit too aggressive. Shield comes out, but he's working on Fnatic's Smexy now.
That was the perfect target for both teams. An attempt at a particle grenade there to hit Smexy. He was on full energy, so that might have actually done enough to kill him off, but 1 for 1. So good follow-up from playing Ducks, but I think that the engage to start off from Fnatic was really impressive.
Yep, great back and forth, but that is moments like that make me excited for the playing Ducks in the future.
Yes.
Is when they lose a member, they still don't give up. They turn around a fight, and they can still trade 1 for 1 against some of the best here in Europe. And that's why this matchup today will be very exciting to watch. And of course, as we get to watch the playing Ducks continue to grow here at the HGC. A slight turn-in goes in for Fnatic. They have dropped off 21 gems, and we are getting closer and closer to level 10.
Yeah, so it will be slowing sands. We mentioned it before. On the side of playing Ducks, there's going to be too much cleanse potential on their side. And even if there wasn't like a cleanse on, say, I don't know, a Darker or whatever, he still has Burrow. He has these, mechanics available to him to keep him solidified and true. So this, again, will be a slow game.
Slowing sands will make the game a little bit more difficult here for Zarya in terms of positioning, but also in terms of making sure to hit those shields.
Nice.
If anyone gets stuck in those slowing sands, she has to make sure she is on point, dropping the shield allies.
The question is, do we get Pocket Sand at level 20? At level 18, Pocket Sand.
I got so many tweets about that last week, man. So many memes. So
it's
many.
Like 50% of my memes you get. But then there's a wild out there 50% on the edge of the meme meta that you're like, what are you on about, Kyle Aris? I have no clue.
Don't worry. Our people at home definitely have me educated now on most of the memes that you bring up. The Fighting Kitty and the Pocket Sand. Sandstorm goes down in the middle. We're getting pressure, though.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. All I need to do now is get you to watch Monty Python, and then I will be a happy badger.
One day, man. One day.
Oh,
Schwimpy, though, is in trouble. Johanna goes in for it. The cleanse comes out. Breeze. At the same time, we'll drop a knockback, but playing Ducks get a takedown here while the Web Weavers are pushing into their base.
I like that the cleanse happens just so in case any weird slow happens. There was nothing that could have CC'd him there, but Smexy's like, I really just need to hope that something will happen with this. Poor guy, but yeah.
That actually gives the Playing Ducks a chance here to defend well and move towards level 10. Getting that pick off was working out for them greatly. However, Fnatic is getting experience off these walls. The clear up finally will occur for our team. Leoric continues to push in bottom, but Nande with that primal aggression at level 1 can clear up these minion waves.
Yep, it's very useful. Unfortunately for him, he didn't want to go quite close to Wubby there, as he will start draining a lot of his health. Here goes Fnatic once again on towards Zarya. Johanna even, I should say. That's going to be an Entomb on Zarya, though. Expulsion Zone to try and zone someone out. That's a good Ancestral Heal to start off. And that's going to be the Blessed Shield on Smexy. He's going to go down. He tried to Twilight Dream at the end, and it will not occur. Oh,
solid rotation there from the Playing Ducks as Nande came in. Obviously with the brush stock. It felt like Fnatic had a chance there to get a pick off because there was Nande being pushed in the bottom lane because of Wubby and Leoric. But that brush stalker, you got to be aware of it. Nice turnaround here for the Playing Ducks, and they're actually doing very well here. 3 kills to 1.
But it speaks to the idea of these team compositions, right? Like, normally when I'm commentating or a team fight, it feels very fast, there's things going on all over the place. That felt like a fight in slow motion.
Yeah.
Because of the compositions that are here at the moment. They could speed up later on if everybody's in the right spot, but for now, yeah, slow and steady.
Yeah, Playing Ducks has the burst of damage, if you will. The Blessed Shield and Explosion Zone into Vala showing up with a Hungering Arrow into a Strafe. They can kill people off, whereas Fnatic will be slow in their engagements here. Maybe if a big mosh pit comes out, but right now the Playing Ducks are playing so well in terms of rotations and spreading out that even that Entomb was hard to hit.
And with slow and steady, just becomes actions that are more calculated, right, in theory?
Correct. Actions that need to happen soon here are Playing Ducks getting a turn in, though. They would love to get it. Right now, Fnatic is doing a fantastic job continuing to poke.
So, change up in Shrimpy's build that is not... Well, normally he would go reaching on time on this map, but he realizes that when they go for the kill potential, he then becomes a little bit vulnerable. So yes, whilst reaching through time would leave him in a position where he was less vulnerable, he wants to be with his team and be in that team fight for a prolonged period of time. So timeout is going to come through at level 11, and I think that's going to leave him in good stead here, considering what we've seen in the past couple of engagements.
Yeah, I think if you have a major threat of a flank coming your way as Chromie, you want that timeout. Dahaka, Brostarking behind you, moving towards you. You want to have the ability to outplay a drag that can come your way, or even a Blessed Shield.
Yeah, exactly. It's you're right on the money. It's not only the Dahaka, the Blessed Shield, because you can see that just bounce randomly to you towards the back. Not randomly, obviously, you know, positioning-wise where it's going to go. But, you know, in those situations, you want to be absolutely safe. So, yeah, the Blessed Shield's very important.
Another big chunk here as Chris gets hit by that Dragon's Eye. The Web Weavers continue to push. 4 in the middle will finally go down, and the top 4 in trouble as well. Fnatic, while slow and steady, has hyped up the aggression slightly here as they take out 3 forts with their second Web Weaver push of the game.
So... as this game is going on, as they're going to put some pressure on towards Dahaka, try and go in for the Mosh as well. He will burrow after being cleansed, so gets away from that. Wraithwalk away there for Wubby as well on Leoric, as Dahaka is going to start marching forwards. That's a great expulsion zone on towards Breeze. He tries to get away with the power slide, but it's not enough. Brilliant play comes out from Sport Billy to keep him locked in.
Gotta call out the also cleanse there from Wolf Joe onto Nande. Nande didn't get burst down to half health because that Dragon's Eye and Sandblast connected. He would have been much lower, but he was able to burrow because of that cleanse. Chris Explosion, though, getting focused. The Ancestral Healing almost comes out, but the burst is too much, and Fnatic, again, a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, very cool to see how that played out overall. I think that as this game will continue on, it feels like Chromie is winning out the damage war with Vala just purely because she has more range. And that will really, really hurt Playing Ducks as this continues if they don't find flanks. If for somehow they find a flank on towards the backline, then great, I think the Playing Ducks can win. But without that, I think they might be just dead in the water.
The flanks are going to be important for the Playing Ducks, and that's why they have Dahaka here as their 5th pickup. The problem is that they have to watch out for Breeze. Breeze was willing to drop a single mosh pit there just to make sure that flank did not occur. They're well aware of how this composition falls apart, Fnatic. So they're making sure to prepare and be set up for that with their Leoric, with their HGC movement, and of course the roots there from Malfurion. So Playing Ducks, again, at some point, need to get that flank and continue to keep moving forward. They have yet to get a turn-in for the game. They need 1 more gem, and then they have a substantial amount of gems available. I believe it's 99 available for them.
Exactly, but that's a huge problem for them, is that Leoric is not even bothering to soak right now. All he's doing throughout all of this little fight towards the top was just watching bottom turn in. And now he'll go back, continue to watch it, and Dahaka won't be able to turn in that 1 gem. So really strong control of the map here from them. But it will take Fnatic a little bit of time here to really gain themselves enough gems themselves to actually get the turn in again. So they're going to have to do this for quite a while.
Besides needing it to turn in, also suddenly it becomes much more scary to get picked off by Fnatic because you could lose out on those gems. And suddenly you don't have future turn-ins to start your comeback that you would like to get. So this is a very intense moment here for the playing Ducks. Poke continues to occur from Fnatic on the right side here. All 5 members from the Ducks do move up to the top right. They are looking for their engage. Nande on the right side. Silence goes out on Sport Billy. There goes the Sandblast. It does not connect, but Chris does get hit with the Entomb, and Sesto comes out, though. Nicely done from Wolf Joe. Engage occurring on the bottom right. Still here, Schwimpy working in damage, but it's not doing much.
Yeah, it was a nice attempt for the Expulsion Zone to lock in the Warriors at the front and try and bring those down, but just slightly moving out of place. If they don't save Smexy, though, good ice block as Breeze comes in to shoo them away here and make sure he will not die off. At the same time, looks like Sport Billy just kind of moving back there from that. Johanna will keep herself alive as well, just back on out.
We just had a 20-second fight that nothing occurred from, no kills happening whatsoever, and no turn-in for the playing Ducks. That's how even these teams are right now on this battleground in game number 1. Absolutely insane to see here. 14 to 15 in level, 15 just hitting for the playing Ducks. Fnatic getting very, very close there to the level 20 storm powers here for Chromie.
Yeah, that's going to be strong. That is. So what did you take at level 13 again? So 14 even. Shifting Sands. Okay, so just extra damage coming out from that position. Did actually complete Time Walker's Pursuit. I think all of our questing talents have actually been done across the board, so if you do see them at the top, then you know that are completed. As that's going to be a boss going over to Fnatic at the moment, with that level 16 that they had available to them. And one thing that's interesting is that they did such a good job of controlling the middle map while getting that boss that they didn't allow the 1 gem turn-in, which is normally what we see here in Europe when a boss is being taken. So that's brilliant control by Team Fnatic.
Yeah, that was done by Smexy and Quacknix. That level 7 talent barbed shot really coming in there to take out the boss at 200% extra damage there from your Q there. So Fnatic getting a boss pushing in the top lane, just controlling this battleground. In terms of how even it looks in fights, I would say the map control is heavily in the favor of Fnatic so far here with their rotations.
Daka's trying to sneak in a gem. They know that they need to do this right now because they've got so many available to them, and they don't want then Fnatic to, they were 9 away to actually try and get that turn in. So that was very important by Daka towards the bottom because he knows that he can just get out and maybe even join the fight with 16.
Such a clever time trap there, dropped on the bush in the top left corner for when Nande came in on the rotation, was stunned for a second. Leework is able to retreat, and Fnatic, because of that time trap and their game sense, walk away from the fight. Webweaver's now pushing, though, in top and middle lane. Had a member of Fnatic died there with that rotation, there could have been a key here for playing Ducks to go for a play on a fort. But now suddenly Fnatic has all arms on deck here to clear.
Yeah, absolutely. The play on the fort then would have seized them good control of experience back in probably favor of them if they'd have got maybe multiple forts and they could have caught up in terms of that experience. But that's not to be, as now just trying to lay down as much fire as possible. The one thing that's nice for Chromie is as much as she doesn't have wave clear, she still does have great single burst target damage. So technically the Webweaver, it stands still. You're always going to hit it with the middle of your Dragon's Breath. So it will take a lot of damage.
Playing Ducks continue the push here. It's important to get a fort.
Yes.
Get that taken out. You finally get a little bit of an advantage in terms of map control if you have a wave pushing your way, which gives you the ability to go in for a turn-in. They will have 141 gems, Kalaris.
They need to get more turn-ins, my friend.
They have the ability to do 2 more turn-ins here if they can get the control on the battleground.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing about all of that is of course, they did prioritize the top fort, which later on down the line, if they win a fight, they could potentially open up boss and then try and do more damage down that path. Webweavers are going to descend once again here. Playing Ducks, look at this. Rallying to the cause in game number 1 and trying to bring themselves back.
Good stuff. Finally getting momentum here on the map. This is a solid play from the playing Ducks. Now I need to see a reward pop up. I want to see a kill or a takedown or even a fort push down. I would love to see all of the front forts taken away and some keep damage on the wall. We'll see if playing Ducks can even get that to happen here with Wubby and Bree sitting in the front line as Schwimpy just keeps shelling away.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult indeed. Because the thing is that, yeah, Wubby's stepping so far forwards, but he's gone mostly Drain Hope build. That's going to be an Entomb here to try and block Chris in with that second knockback. But there's going to be a mosh on towards one target again here. Silence comes out on a few, as that's going to be almost Nande falling, as Chris going to be trying to run away at the top as well here.
Coming out, though, Wubby is able to start retreat. Chris on the side here as well. Wolf Joe just keeping his teammates alive. That was a very scary fight for them playing Ducks. The big flank from Nande on the right side bush there, just not paying off. The big silence there from the Wailing Arrow that Fnatic pulled out. So many small things happening. Our team still both surviving here. The shields being on point for Sport Billy. Finally, a fort will go down in the middle lane. The playing Ducks making a comeback here, almost tied in experience.
So we have Pocket Sand, or Pocket of Time, which is always nice, from Shrimpy. So that slowing sand will slow people a lot. One thing that's interesting to note is a slight variation to the go-to cleanse for everything. For Zarya, we actually do have Plasma Shock coming in at 16. So those particle grenades are going to actually slow down people as well. So if they're pursuing something like a Chromie or something like that, then that could definitely work out. Are they going to get turning? No.
That pickup is great for Sport Billy, not because you want to poke the backline of the Assassins for them for coming damage, but doing it on the Warriors. You slow down the Orc enough to where an Entomb is just barely out of reach for him. So talents like that can be very beneficial against double Warrior composition, so I like to switch up here from the playing Ducks. Continuing in the bottom right, we have our back and forth between our two teams. It is insane right now that we are 18 minutes in the game, Fnatic's best map, and we're almost on even footing here in terms of leveling. A keep has yet to go down, and we have our siege back and forth.
I think what's also nice about Plasma Shock is that we have our Rhaegar, our Wolf Joe, Mr. Wolf Joe, I'm going to call him. He has only gone for Earthgrass Totem, not Colossal Totem at level 1. He went for Lightning Bond. So there is a smaller window where Earthgrass Totem can actually do its work. And then maybe that can synergize together instead of having, the Colossal Totem at 1, where it's easier to hit.
Yeah, if you get an advantage in a fight, you can start to chase there with Bala, being able to work in her auto attacks. You don't have the multi-shot slow there, and from the playing Ducks and Vala, instead you have Gloom, so she can actually deal with the Chromie coming her way.
Frost Shot's in. Frost Shot's in.
Oh, is it? Frost Shot?
So
nice. So yeah, they're just slowing everyone down, so Vala has her continuous chase here, because she is the main damage for this team. We talked about it early. If Vala is not able to get her damage out, there is no kill potential really setting up for the team, unless Dahaka hits a drag. Continued pressure now, as finally another Web Weaver turn-in happens for the playing Ducks, and they are beating on keep walls here. The middle lane in trouble. 20 has just now hit for the playing Ducks. Big hit coming out, but Wolf Joe with that healing totem and his chain lightning, or chain healing, will save his teammate.
Yeah, they're just looking for the opportunities here, anywhere they can find them. One thing that's really strong with Chromie is the fact that Elun's Grace at level 4 for Malfurion allows those roots to be hit from much, much further away. It's level 20, now coming in for both teams. And just Nande getting chunked there, even just by the edge of the Dragon's Breath.
Continuing to poke, looking for that moment. This is why Rhaegar is one of the best healers against a Chromie. Is constantly able to drop out those heals, keep them alive. The chase continues as Breeze looking for more. Can't quite find anything. We'll be able to start clearing this middle lane, but keep still alive for Fnatic. And right now, the ball is kind of in the court of Fnatic. They have a turn-in available. All they have to do is work their way towards it, and they can move towards that keep in the top left. They have already gotten down to half health.
I would say that technically so does playing Ducks, but all the waves are pushed very far away from them. So it's more difficult for them to actually collect the rest of the gems that they do need. Even if it's just 9, it's still, you need to get 3 waves worth of gems there. And if you look at top and bottom, they were a little bit far away from them for a while whilst they take this fight. So they do have to be careful. Essence Claws coming in for Dahaka, so every melee will grant him 5 essence. When he's actually going for that fight. But a lot of Bolt of the Storms on the side of Fnatic. So technically they're just opening up opportunities to escape, really, I would say, more so than actually engage, unless it's going to be a Bolt Marsh.
Well, both teams are continuing their poke. Looking for a moment to get in, as we have our turn-ins occurring for both our teams. These kind of baits. They're not really trying to get the turn-in. They wouldn't mind getting it, but it's trying to get your opponent to overstep slightly, so you can get that engage that you would like. Crisplosion dealing with Breeze. Nande dealing with Wubby here on the bottom right. Finally, the turn-in is snuck in on the top right. I believe that was Quagnix that dropped off enough gems. And Red Weaver's coming out. Big sounds coming out on Wolf Joe, but Wolf Joe will sneak on by Wubby. Breeze power sliding away. Nande on the left side here. Wubby is going to Wraithwalk away. Big time trap coming out. Crisso low on health.
So Fnatic wants to try and keep playing Ducks busy in this middle lane, because top lane will almost certainly kill a keep. There's already a big wave built up there for Fnatic, but you can see playing Ducks doesn't want to be kept busy. They know that keeping top keep alive with that huge push that is currently halfway across the map is super important. They do not want to be losing keeps here, especially top one when boss is available.
Yeah, this rotation is great for doing just that. They're pushing the middle lane here, which forces playing Ducks to sit in the middle and defend slightly, while the Web Weavers get to the top lane, and they can start to rotate out if they would like, if they think playing Ducks are too well set up. Continual pressure here. Nande's in the top right, using that primal aggression on the Web Weavers, and Fnatic is going for it. Breeze on the left side, wanting a power slide on Wolf Joe or Chris.
I really like the decision making. Dahaka died though! Oh no!
He died to Wubby!
He was a great option to actually clean this up, but he died to probably the entirety of the damage as well as the drain coming out. This opens up a huge window for Team Fnatic.
Yes, it does. Just straight up in the middle lane. You have Sylvanas here to help to push this push, and now suddenly one keep down, a second one about to die as well, and Fnatic is moving towards the core. Breeze goes in for a bolt, power slide into a mosh pit. Wubby working in the auto attacks. Chromie bring out the damage as well. Sport Billy is dead, and playing Ducks played so well in the early game, in the mid game, but now suddenly they are looking like they could lose this late game. Wolf does go for the escape. Breeze continuing here to work in some power slides and some knockbacks. Chromie on the back right will use timeout. Core low on health, down to 50%. Chris working on Wubby.
And they're just going to keep on this core at the moment and just make sure that Shrimpy can even get any little bit of damage in. The Warriors down this left-hand side should be fine. Whoopi actually kills off Rhaegar there, keeps himself sustained and alive. That will be GG. Fnatic will take game number 1 here in this best of 5.
Incredible that a slight mistake there is going to give Fnatic the win on game number 1. Nande falling victim in the top lane, and he's just there to clear, right? Suddenly you have a Lyric on you, dropping the Drain Hope. If you don't use your burrow correctly, and you could just be taken away.
He wanted too much from that situation. So let's think about it. We didn't quite see it because, very rightly, we didn't see it because he shouldn't have died over there, unfortunately for Nande. So what happened clearly there without being able to see it is he wanted to try and keep the keep alive.
Yeah.
Clearly not possible during all of that. He uses all of his cooldowns to try and keep it alive and stay there. At that point, you just kind of try and clean up as much as possible and then get yourself out of there as quickly as possible and let the keep die. Because that death alone, it wasn't the keep dying that triggered the spiral. It was Nande dying and not having that 5v5.
Yeah, not having that body count really hurting there. Let's get ready for game number 2 here between Fnatic and the Playing Ducks. We'll be right back.